here. It is time for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. The big game is here, Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be tomorrow when I'm recording this. Absolutely cannot wait for this game. You got Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. It's going to be so much fun, and just there's so much anticipation for this game. And the Chiefs and the Eagles come into the Super Bowl with the same record, 16-3, and there's so many great storylines to this Super Bowl that we're going to be getting into, but both franchises are really just trying to continue their success. The Chiefs are in their third Super Bowl in the last 4 years, with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl during the 2019-2020 season, and then they lost the Super Bowl the year after to Tom Brady, but they're back here on the big stage after losing in the AFC Championship game last year, and the Eagles made the huge stride forward with Jalen Hurts. After losing in the wildcard round, they're in the Super Bowl again for the first time since the 2017-18 season. It's been 5 years, and in Arizona, it's going to be an epic showdown. And here are some of the major storylines for Super Bowl 57.
You're my first interview since I got injured, so you're lucky. You're a good journalist.
You can compare your swing, the good one and the bad one, so you can see like the difference.
I like to notice that, man.
I love it, man. I appreciate how good, how glad that makes me feel.
Can't wait, to be honest.
It's the first time two brothers will be playing in the Super Bowl. We obviously know this. Donna Kelce, Travis Kelce, and Jason Kelce's mom has been all over the news. She's been trending all over the place, so we know this storyline quite well. It's the first time this is happening. Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce both have a podcast together, so two really amazing and great personalities, and they're just amazing brothers, so it's gonna be fun to see them play. But they're both on offense, and when they asked Donna Kelce who she's rooting for, she said the offense. So I mean, it's gonna be fun to see those two play in this game, and it's the first time two African-American quarterbacks will be starting in the same Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is 24 years old. Patrick Mahomes is 27 years old, and they're both here. Mahomes is in his third Super Bowl in the last 4 years. This is Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl. Hurts, a second-round pick. Many people didn't think, he was the guy, and then here he is. He does a great job not making the big mistake, and he leads his team to the Super Bowl. So history being made on both ends. And Mahomes can win his second Super Bowl in 5 full seasons, which would be really impressive for him. He's been absolutely outstanding. And the Eagles can win their second Super Bowl in 6 years. They were last year during the 2017-18 season. So if I have my math correct, that's how long it would be. 5 to 6 years, depending on how you look at it. So it's been a few years for the Eagles, and the Chiefs are just trying to continue their success over the past few years. And I'm going to be breaking down each team and who has the advantage at each position. We're going to be starting on offense here. And on offense, I'm going with the Chiefs had the advantage at quarterback. I think that's obvious with Mahomes. Eagles have the advantage at running back. Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell are really good. Pacheco and McKinnon are good too, but the Eagles running backs are really, really good at this point. Miles Sanders went off. Wide receivers go to the Eagles. You have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, who are both legit number one wide receivers. Mahomes doesn't have really a super legit number one wide receiver. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, but they don't match up quite as good. Tight end, that's easy. It's Travis Kelce, of course. Offensive line, that goes to the Eagles. They have the best offensive line in football. And the X factor, that's Patrick Mahomes. It's obvious. Mahomes does things that we have not seen any quarterbacks do in NFL history. So this guy has put his team on his back. The Chiefs are made it to the playoffs only because of Mahomes, and they're in the Super Bowl right now because of him, and even with one ankle he was able to get it done. So Mahomes is the X factor. So overall, offensively, I give the tiebreaker to maybe slight edge to the Chiefs, but the Eagles have a really good offensive line and really good weapons all around. So I'm going with a slider, probably going with a tie here for offense. And now for defense. Defensive line, Eagles, they have 4 players with 10 sacks. The Chiefs have Chris Jones, Clark, Karlaftis. They have guys, but nowhere near the Eagles linebackers. I'm going with the Chiefs here. Surprisingly, I know this may be kind of a hot take, but you know, I like Nick Bolton, I like Willie Gay, I like those guys there. They've done a good job in linebackers. Hassan Reddick has been good, but that's, I think, really about it for Philly. I just like the Chiefs linebackers here a little bit more. You have Dunlap there as well for Kansas City. Corners, you go with the Eagles. They have two number one, Dursley and James Bradbury, compared to the Chiefs, who don't match up as well. Safety, I think it's on both sides. You have Justin Reed and, Juan Thornhill, who I think are good safeties for the Chiefs. And for the Eagles, you have good guys back there. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's been really good as well. So it's about even. Their X factor going with the Eagles. They just have so much more talent. Defensively, they're number 2 overall on defense. That's just a huge X factor right there, and really could change this game, especially with the amount of pressure that they get. Special teams, I go with the Chiefs and Eagles. I think they both have good kickers, punters, return teams. Coaching, I'm going with the Chiefs on this one. I think they have a slight edge. You have Andy Reid, of course. You have, Spagnuolo, who's really good defensively, so I trust them a little bit more. But overall on defense, I go with the Eagles. So now counting up the number of Eagles logos you have here, you have 6 Eagles logos here. You have 4 for the Chiefs, and then you add them up from the previous slide, and it is 10 Eagles logos and 8 Chiefs logos. So technically the Eagles have the edge, and which is why they are the 1.5 point favorites in this game. But who knows, my prediction might be slightly different. Definitely stick around for the next few minutes to find out my prediction after I break down all the position groups. We're going to be starting off with quarterback. Of course, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP, his second MVP in his career. He's already had the Super Bowl MVP too. 5,250 yards. He has the most yards for quarterback in NFL history, I believe. 41 touchdowns, 12 picks, a 77.5 quarterback rating, which is the best in football. He had 250 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns as well. So he again, like I said, he put the team on his back, and he's back in the big game. And even with one ankle, he's been finding ways to get it done versus the tough Bengals team and the Jaguars team that was rising. He had, in the past 2 playoff games, he had 521 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. So he's been lights out. He's still been doing good with just one ankle. He can do anything at this point. He has a behind the back pass set, I think, is in his arsenal. I just don't know what to expect from this guy. He's absolutely incredible. And Jalen Hurts, he had an MVP season as well, the most rushing yards by a quarterback, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, 13 rushing touchdowns, the 4th best quarterback rating, 760 yards rushing, 3,700 yards passing. He had 5 fumbles so while rushing. The Chiefs might need to get a forced fumble off him, who knows. He had some inaccurate passes versus the 49ers. He was facing number 1 defense, but they really relied on that running game. The Giants weren't, suitable competition, but it's really interesting to see what can Hurts get accurate on those big throws down the field, because the thing is, he hasn't made that big mistake, and if he doesn't make the big mistake, I think the Eagles still might be able to find a way to win. So we'll see. The thing is, the Chiefs have forced turnovers from Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, so we'll see if they can force a turnover from Jalen Hurts. Now, tight ends and just really position players at this point. Travis Kelce, we know, is the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes in this game. 17 playoff games, Kelce has about 1,500 yards receiving and 15 touchdowns roughly. The go-to guy for Mahomes, and he absolutely needs to be an outlet for Patrick whenever he's there. If you're the Eagles, you have to lock down him, of course. And for the Eagles, these are the both top position players. A.J. Brown is the top position player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been consistently the number 1 wide receiver, 1,500 yards passing. I think they call him Big Batman there or something. I don't know if I'm outdated with all that, but I believe they call him that or something. 1,500 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 88 catches this season from Hurts. But the last 2 games, he's been locked up for 50 yards only, so he hasn't done much in the playoffs. And the Eagles, they've been making offensive plays without him, of course. They've been putting up numbers, but if they can get this guy going, look out. You look out. Those Eagles will get going, man. And Devontae Smith and, the number 2 wide receiver, they call him, I think, Skinny Batman over there, if I'm correct. He's such a great route runner, and I think he could be a really big-time receiver versus Kansas City in terms of getting open and helping Hurts out. 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns on the season with 95 catches. I think he's going to play a big role in this game, Devontae Smith. The Eagles also have Dallas Goedert that's tight end, who could be helpful, but I think the Chiefs should be able to lock him down. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, again, there's no Tyreek Hill. You have Kelsey, and then you have these new wide receivers for Mahomes to play with. You have Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm going to be talking about MVS soon. Kadarius Toney's been really good for them. Hardman's on IR, unfortunately, so that really hurts. But these three guys really need to help out Patrick whenever they can. Juju had 933 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 78 catches this season. Toney was injured for a lot of the season. He was a late season acquisition, but I think he's a physical, fast runner. He kind of reminds me of Deebo Samuel for some reason, but they can kind of get him involved on the jet sweeps or something. That will be really, really good to see. And, I was talking about MVS, number 11 in the middle, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He was Mahomes' go-to besides Kelsey in the AFC Championship versus the Bengals. He made number 1 receiver kind of plays because he had 8 catches for 116 yards and 1 touchdown, which was big time. He had 2 touchdowns in the playoff game, 1 versus the Jags, 1 versus the Bengals, and they were both big time. So MVS has stepped up. He needs to continue to do that, but it's going to be tough going against Darius Slay or Bradbury. But the number one thing that is crucial in this game is going to be the Chiefs' running game. It is so crucial because they have to establish it with Isaiah Pacheco. The Eagles are slightly worse at run defense and pass, so if they can establish it, the Chiefs are going to be really in a good position at this point. They're going to be really dangerous. Play action versus the number 2 defense. So the 7th round pick out of Rutgers, this Isaiah Pacheco, he has been incredible. Dude's a galloping horse down the field, so you need him. And like I said, the Eagles running game, they're also really spectacular with the two-way with Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders has been electric this season. He had the 5th most rushing yards this season by running back, 1,270 yards, 11 touchdowns, 259 carries, which is the 8th most in the NFL. So the Eagles love to run the ball. And if they establish the running game, it's going to be tough for Kansas City. Now, defensively, Chris Jones, number 95, finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. George Karlaftis, the rookie. Carlos Dunlap, Frank Clark. They're going to have to somehow stop that running game for Philadelphia, first and foremost. If they don't, you're going to have to get to Jalen Hurts fast. But the problem is the Eagles have the best offensive line. So it's a tall task for the Chiefs, but they just can't allow the Eagles to get some momentum in this game. And meanwhile, for the Eagles, you have 4 guys on the defensive line with 10 sacks. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave. These guys are really amazing. They can stifle the running game and focus on only making Mahomes pass the entire game. They're the best passing defense in football, so that might be their strength in this game. But it still is Mahomes. They're still going to have to get to him and rattle him a little bit. He still might be bothered by that ankle, so even a little bit of pressure might do it for Philadelphia. And, we talked about the linebackers for both sides. I like the Chiefs with Willie Gay. Nick Bolton, second year, he's second in the NFL with tackles with 108. He has been incredible. The 2nd round pick, he's been a stud for Kansas City. And he has to wrap up Jalen Hurts whenever he's scrambling. Maybe put him in as a spy or something. And same thing with Willie Gay. They're going to have to just contain Hurts and just limit that running game somehow and trust their secondary. And then you talk about Hassan Reddick. He was also a Defensive Player of the Year favorite. He had 16 sacks, which was 2nd in the NFL. 1st in forced fumbles with 5. So he's obviously going to get after Mahomes. If you're the Chiefs offensive line, you're going to have to find a way to stop him. And Hassan Reddick is a really fast guy. So, with Mahomes' ankle, he might be able to get after him a little bit more. That's a bit of an advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. And then secondaries, you talk about James Bradbury and Darius Slay, number 1, number 2. 3 interceptions for each of them, so they've been both locked down. I'd expect one of them probably to be on Travis Kelce, or probably MVS or Juju during the game. And they're really in an advantage at this point. And for the Chiefs, you have Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill in the safety positions who've been solid this season. And L'Jarius Sneed is, I think, the Chiefs' number 1 cornerback. You have Trent McDuffie, the 1st round pick from this year, the rookie. It's a lot to expect from the rookie. So the Eagles might actually target Trent McDuffie a whole lot more in this game just because he's still developing. And 3 interceptions for Juan Thornhill. He's been the guy for the Chiefs. And you're talking about L'Jarius Sneed. He's also made some plays. 3 picks, 3 forced fumbles for L'Jarius Sneed. They just can't allow the big play to A.J. Brown. It's going to be tough to see, but I'm thinking they might double team him over the top, and you just cannot allow the Eagles to explode. That's really the key for the Kansas City Chiefs. So the keys to the game, once again, for the Chiefs, number one, you have to establish a running game offensively, get that going, and your offense will look really good. You have to stop the Eagles' running game. That is a must. If the Eagles start running the football, it's probably going to be impossible to stop them. And for the Chiefs, you have to give Mahomes time. You give him 3 to 4 seconds, I'm sure he can find somebody down the field. That's really key, because in Super Bowl 55, Mahomes didn't have much time, and the Chiefs got destroyed by the Bucs. So that's really important. For the Eagles, you're going to have to lock down Kelce and the Chiefs running game, those two. If you lock down those two, I think they should be able to limit Mahomes. And for the Eagles offensively, they're going to have to use play action and use the running game. If you can get that established, the Chiefs are not going to be able to stop you and just make Mahomes uncomfortable. He does have that ankle, so get to him a little bit, get him on the ground a couple of times, and that might play a huge role in this game. But now it's the moment for my Super Bowl prediction. Here it is. What you've all been looking forward to seeing. I am going with the upset, and I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs get it done. They win their second Super Bowl in 4 years. They last won it in the 2019-2020 season. And they made it to the Super Bowl the very next year, but then they lost to Tom Brady, then they lost the AFC Championship, but now they're back, and I think they get it done. The Eagles are 1.5 point favorites, but I am going to Kansas City here by 1. As much as the Eagles have the advantage all around the board, it's just Patrick Mahomes. He's just the X factor in this game. That's why I'm going with the upset. The Eagles, we know they have the much better defense. They have the much better offense all around. Their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes' ankle is still there as a possibility to, help the Eagles. But I still think it's going to be a close game regardless. The Eagles have a really great shot of winning this game, which is why they're favorites, of course. But I think it's going to be a close game. I just think the Eagles' defense hasn't really been tested. Obviously, you're going against Daniel Jones and the Giants, and then the no quarterback 49ers. But now you go against the greatest quarterback that we've seen, in recent times. So Mahomes is just super tough to guard. And you had Dak Prescott, who put up 40 points versus the Eagles' defense, during the regular season. And I think Mahomes, even with like a 1.5 ankle, can really, really make some things happen. Especially if he ends up getting the ball last. If Mahomes gets the ball last in this game with a chance to win, I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. As long as the Chiefs defense just does a solid job, holds them to maybe the mid-20s, like 27 points, I think the Chiefs will be able to pull it off, because it is Patrick Mahomes after all. We've never seen anything like him, and Jalen Hurts has made some inaccurate throws. He's been great running the football. He's been a great leader. He's been great not making the crucial mistake. Hats off to Jalen Hurts. But sometimes when you need that big throw, can you trust Jalen Hurts to get it done? I'm not so sure. So we'll see. I just like the Chiefs coaching. They have 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I'm sure Andy Reid's going to figure out something. It's not like the Chiefs have a whole bunch of injuries. The only thing they have is McCole Hardman. Otherwise, they're touch wood, fully healthy at this point. Even in Mahomes' a slight ankle, so we'll see. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Absolutely cannot wait for Super Bowl 57 and see who is going to be crowned. Is it going to be the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years, or it's going to be the Eagles lifting up the Lombardi Trophy for the first time since 2018? We're going to find out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit the like, comment, your Super Bowl prediction. I'll see you in the next one.